Do you like wrestling? Do you ever watch wrestling?
No. Nope.
And The Rock said, whoa, 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 whoa. Because I'm still standing here, custom made, brother. Woo! And I mean custom made. From the alligators to the Ole Cassini right here. Ric Flair. There's only one.
We're not the kind of guys that say, we told you so, but we told you so.
Yeah, no thank you from the Young Bucks.
Watch Wrestling with Mike Wellman.
You know who I am.
What's up, gang? Welcome to Watch Wrestling with Mike Wellman, the podcast that breaks down the biggest stories in and out of the ring. Thank you for hitting that play button. My name is Mike Wellman. We appreciate you here as always. This is episode 57 of Watch Wrestling with Mike Wellman, if you can believe it, along with all the extra bonus episodes and rewinding the tape episodes and promo school. Anything extra we've done. We are only on episode 57 of the main show, and here we are. We got a lot to get to on this episode. We are going to be talking about the WWE Draft results, new rosters for Raw and SmackDown. Somebody had the idiotic pick of drafting The Miz in this draft, which we might get to. Also, AEW selling some tickets to the Wembley Stadium show. They're already up to like 60,000 tickets sold for this thing. So we're going to talk about the big pre-sale for the Wembley Stadium all-in London show, and might talk about who we think might headline that event. And we're also going to go over some Dynamite results from this week. We have a 4 Pillars 4-way as the main event for Double or Nothing. So AEW has just a huge summer with Double or Nothing, All In. Now they're definitely confirming that All Out is going to take place a week later. They're obviously also having this big new television show start up in June. So we're going to talk a little bit about just the ticket sales for Wembley Stadium and all that stuff. Also, WWE has a new world title. That's right. WWE, Triple H, the man they call Triple H, has unveiled a new world championship that will be pretty much exclusive to Monday Night Raw. So we're going to talk about just the belt design, who we think might be the first champion. Triple H just announced a tournament of sorts that will culminate at Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia. And then we're going to talk about, did I already say we're going to talk about Dynamite this week? Jericho, Adam Cole slapping each other. Jon Moxley, Bryan Danielson saying he's a better wrestler than Bret the Hitman Hart. We're going to get into all that. But joining me, as always, he is wrestling fan Kris. What's up, Kris?
What's up? Good to be back.
I was reviewing some of our videos and audio work recently, and I think I should sit a little farther from the microphone. I don't think I need to be so close to it, but we'll try something on this show. We'll see if I can get a little farther away from this thing. So, but yes, how's it going, Kris? It's been a while since we've had a show. We've had a few minor setbacks in the past month.
Yeah. No, I'm doing good. Feeling good. I like the weather. That's why I like. Sun's out later in the day. Makes me happy.
Yes, and Kris is basically trying to tell you all right now that he'd rather be outside than doing this with me. So that's what that was. He's just taking shots now.
No. I have the window open. The sun's coming in. It's nice.
Oh, great. Even better. The window's open. So now when the motorcycle the biker boys come through your neighborhood, it's just going to be... yeah.
I should have said the curtain's open. The window's closed. The curtain's open. Okay, I understood. Bad Bunny came by too much with his tour bus. I learned.
But yes, we got a lot to get to on today's show. But before we go any farther, that's right. We need you to be kind, subscribe, watch wrestling with Mike Wellman. Actually, we need you to be kind, like, and subscribe. If you're checking out the video on YouTube, hit the like button, hit the notification button, and you already know where you can find the podcast that breaks down the biggest stories in and out of the ring. Whether you found the show on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, You already know. We see you guys out there. We see our Facebook likes and followers. We see the Twitter followers. We see the downloads. So we already know that you already know. But if you don't, be kind, like and subscribe, watch Wrestling with Mike Wellman, and consider supporting the podcast on Patreon. We are going to be coming out with some Patreon content that we are actually going to be recording today. So choose a tier that fits. We have the Click tier, the Foundation tier, and the Gang Affiliated tier. You can get Gang Affiliated. All you need to do is punch in that debit card, and then you're one of us. But yes, just consider supporting the podcast on Patreon, and then we won't have any problems. All right, so let's get into this stuff. Yes, Kris, did you see this? There is a new signing with All Elite Wrestling. Will Washington is #All Elite. Will Washington from Fightful, Grab City Podcast, numerous other podcasts, now officially signed to AEW. I'm going to look up his official title. I think he's going to be the commissioner.
The president.
He's going to be the commissioner of Dynamite. He's going to be the administration coordinator. So, yeah, we all found out last week, those of us who are obsessed with wrestling podcasts, Will Washington was kind of doing a farewell tour on Grab City, on Day After Dynamite, on After the Week that he does with Denise Salcedo. Nobody would say where he was headed next, so kind of knew something big was coming for Will Washington. Nobody deserves this in the wrestling media space more than Will Washington. I think I can say that.
I agree. I love it too. This is one of the I know he was a big name before our show, but I mean, we're talking about Grab Cities for so long. Yes. And another, like, right ahead of the train. All right. That's another one. Put a feather in your cap.
There we go. You know, I try to signal boost as much as I can. No, just kidding. Yes. So Tony Khan confirming the news Wednesday on Twitter that Will Washington is going to be working for AEW in many aspects of their business. He's going to be working in the live events, social media, creative, public relations. Tony Khan said he has a great creative mind. He's going to be used for things like continuity, making sure all the wrestlers, get time on the air, I guess. But yes, it seems like a good fit for AEW. For one, for Will Washington to really do anything for AEW, but then for them to consciously say we need somebody to handle things like continuity. He's just the perfect guy for that, and that's something that they definitely will benefit from.
Oh yeah, I mean, and on movie sets, they have people who just deal with continuity. I don't know exactly what their titles are, but I think wrestling should also have something like that. I know that's not all he's going to do, but that's a very important role, and he's also a younger guy, so that's a lot of times, especially in the WWE, it's all these guys who've been around for 30, 40 years, and they're all old now, and they don't really know. At least Will Washington's young and kind of has a taste of what young people might like.
Yeah, and I just think he's got the most amazing wrestling memory. He remembers every episode of Dynamite, whatever happened on every weekly wrestling show. So he's he's definitely the right guy for the job. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about that because we don't really talk about media stuff too much because that would be we'd be a different podcast. Yeah, I just thought it was good because it's basically it's a new thing for wrestling to kind of for a wrestling company to sign a podcaster to not then just be their version of a podcaster,
I know, yeah, that's true.
So that's something interesting as well. It's the fact that normally you just hear names like Eric Bischoff and Paul Heyman just getting the same jobs over and over again, right? Yep. And this is something new and fresh, I think.
I think it will be too, yeah.
Yeah, what else can we talk about with AEW? Anything else going on with AEW this week?
I don't know.
Any other news?
I don't think there's anything that big.
Nah, me neither. Oh, yeah. So they AEW had their ticket pre-sale for the Wembley Stadium All-In London show taking place in the end of August. This week, they sold close to 50,000 tickets in the pre-sale. As we're recording this on Friday is the first official on-sale date. And Kris just let me know before we started recording that Tony Khan had said online that they are up to 60,000 tickets sold, it seems like.
I mean, I get it too. Like, I don't know, but people out there who didn't think that this was going to happen, I'm surprised.
So
Obviously.
we didn't really get a chance. I don't think we got a chance on the show to like just talk about it when it was announced. So I would have said 55,000 people. If, when it first got announced, if we were doing a segment, something like how many people do we think they can get for the big Wembley show, I would have said 55,000. I think some people were saying, 30,000 would be a good number. Obviously, for that arena, people kind of tend to think bigger numbers when you're booking an arena that big. But
I mean, 30,000 is a huge number.
Yes, so they hit 50,000 yesterday. And then WrestleTix also said that as of Friday morning, that they believe the number to be well above 60,000 for the all-in show. So that's a big number. It's going to be a big show.
Great move. Very savvy move by Tony Khan.
Yeah, and I think it was a bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it paid off for him. And it did.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that going overseas, going to any new country or market, they could have gone to a much smaller venue for sure. They could have been a little bit more tepid, but I think they went all in and chose pretty much the biggest arena around. The biggest, most famous arena there. And yeah, they're going to fill it up, it looks like. I mean, it would be crazy if they could get a number like 80,000, like 70,000 or 80,000 would be crazy, I think.
I think they're going to get to 70. I really do.
And I don't mean like 70,000, like the fake work number when they say there's 72,000 people and there's only like 50,000. It would be like when at WrestleMania they say there's 105,000. That's when there's really only like 77,000.
Yeah.
So that is a big number. No matches announced at all. Nobody really even confirmed. You can just kind of assume that they're going to try to get their biggest stars on the show, but no selling point other than AEW debuting and also this now being their biggest show ever.
Yeah, but I mean, they do deliver on matches though, so I understand why it doesn't matter if there's no matches announced. And it's the first show in Wembley in how long? They were craving it. So
now because they've got this show booked and sold, basically, I mean, everything else now is like gravy on top of gravy on top of gravy. It's like you got the number, right? So basically, if they stop selling tickets right now, it would be a huge success still. So what could they do as far as a main event? Because you just sold all the tickets without a main event, without advertising anyone. So do you think that they would be more inclined to have maybe a multi-man, like a 6-man main event or an 8-man main event to get a lot of big stars in a big main event match? Or do you think they would go towards like a singles match, championship match as the main event, especially considering that they are going to do All Out the following week in Chicago on pay-per-view?
I feel like, I mean, I'm only coming from so many years of watching the WWE and having really no one else around. It feels like this is right for like a 8-man, not 8-man, maybe like a 4-man, something in the main event, where there's multiple people so they don't have to give away the match that they want to give it All Out. But I mean, who knows? They could go, maybe it's one of those things where a title gets dropped in Wembley and then the next week it goes right back to the guy who just lost it. I don't know.
I mean, that's possible. I just think that it's just a difficult spot to be in booking wise, because you've got this show, which is literally going to be the biggest wrestling show, the biggest non-WWE wrestling show. There's all these accolades and statistics and stuff that you're probably going to be able to apply to this show. But then you're going to kind of build toward a smaller show, so to speak, the following week. But that is your sort of tentpole annual big show of the year, right? But it's obviously going to be a much smaller scale show in Chicago. Even if they do the United Center, which there's so much Chicago stuff with AEW right now that I can't even think about. I don't even know where all Out is going to be this year. I don't even know if they've said it's going to be at the United Center or the Now Arena or what have you. But yeah, so it just makes me think perhaps they set up maybe their big match for All Out, and then the week before, that is the sort of, as far as the programs go and the feuds, it's maybe sort of, you know, a 6-man match, like I said, or an 8-man match where you have maybe like Punk and FTR versus the Blackpool Combat Club, or, you know, the Elite versus, or Punk and FTR versus, you know, maybe the Jericho Appreciation Society or something, where you have the big guys kind of heading up a team in the main event.
That seems like that's where it's going to go. But I mean, is this going to be all AEW? Are we going to get some other? I mean, it is All In. Do you think it's going to be some outside workers? I wonder, because then you could do it. Then it's just like off the table. Who knows? It could be anything.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've also got Forbidden Door coming up in the summer, so I feel like as far as New Japan crossover stuff, they'll do their main kind of crossovers at Forbidden Door, and then I would guess they're probably going to try to get some outsiders and then also some New Japan talent. Obviously, we're probably going to want to see Will Ospreay at this show.
I would say, yeah.
You know, it just really depends. They're probably going to try to get as much talent as they can, you know, but will this end up as this sort of all-star event where you see Will Ospreay? It's like a worldwide event where maybe Mercedes Moné and Will Ospreay and maybe some other people from New Japan like Okada or maybe Sonata or Tanahashi. You know, it really depends. I would guess, though, that especially European talent, they're going to want to get on the show. Yeah. People, like I said, Will Ospreay. You know who I haven't seen in a while that's probably, I would guess, would be on this show? Pac. I was thinking about that. Oh, yep. When the Triangulo de Muerte came out, and there was no Pac in sight. It was Vikingo that is apparently part of the Triangulo.
Yeah, hey.
So, yeah, I don't know what's going on I don't know where Pac is, but I would assume that he, you know, it's also a weird thing when you don't necessarily have to add people to the show now. Because, like I said, you already sold all the tickets.
You're right. I mean, that's
not
true.
That they want to go there with a bad show, but you don't need to. Like, the selling point, like, if they threw out a main event early and said, okay, we're going to have, you know, Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho, and that's the ticket selling match.
Yeah.
And then maybe tickets don't do so well. Maybe that's when they look to change it up, add things, tell you, okay, well, now we're going to add in Will Ospreay and make it a 3-way, see if tickets go up or something like that. But yeah, it's going to be a huge, huge show, and we'll see what they put together for a card. Like I said, especially when you have the show the following week.
It's going to be really interesting. I'm actually looking forward to seeing how they're going to navigate that.
Yeah, we'll see how soon they start kind of, you know, building towards matches like that on television.
I know it's a little ways away, so they probably will wait a little bit. So
yeah, they have some big shows, like I said, Double or Nothing, Forbidden Door, that all are taking place before this show. So
yeah, so the ticket sales are even more impressive, honestly.
So let's now get into some draft results. What did you think overall of the WWE Draft this year?
So I like the idea of like legends and other people coming out and announcing picks. That's a fun little thing that they do in other sports as well. I don't know. I feel like I didn't care as much as I usually do. And do I even usually care? I don't think anything really changed too much was the thing too. Nothing really got split up. Like I was hoping that Montez Ford was going to be split up so he can go on a singles run and get the recognition he deserves, but it didn't happen. And so it's just like kind of people swapped. And I don't think, are they going to be strict with the rules of brand splitting? I know they're not with some of the free agents, but
not with Natalya.
I know, like, and I liked when they first years ago, back when the Miz was at his peak as the Intercontinental Champion, and SmackDown was different than Raw. The production was a little bit different. The announcers were sitting in different spots. That's the kind of stuff I like when stuff is different. If it's just going to be wrestlers changing brands, quote unquote, and that's it, whatever, then let's just put on both, you know? That's all.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that they had all these legends coming out to do the draft reads and the picks, but we don't have any semblance, and this is maybe a larger problem with WWE television, like one of the many problems with this television product right now is we don't have any semblance on screen in the canon and in the story of who is choosing these draft picks for Raw and SmackDown. Like, is it Triple H and Nick Khan, and they're acting like there's not a team on each show, or is there like some mystery Raw boardroom and there's a SmackDown boardroom? Who's on these boards? Who's in these discussions? Who's in the war room? You know, it's like you just have these people coming out where you have Booker T and Sharmell coming out reading opposite picks, and I just thought it was interesting that they didn't even think to assign to say, well, we're going to, like, they didn't draft, so to speak, RVD and Booker T and Sharmell and Bischoff and all these people to little teams and say, you guys are the Raw team choosing what is going to be best. Or they didn't even say it's Triple H and Nick Khan and they're in the boardroom right now at the new headquarters in Stamford, and they're deciding what's the fate of WWE. There was no logic behind who is making these decisions to pick. Who has a say in the matter, right?
Yeah, you're right. It's a great point. That's some of the stuff that that's continuity.
Yeah.
See, they don't care about that.
Oh,
I wish we knew.
No, they just rip up the script, and it's Lacey Evans is mean one week, she's nice the next week. Veer Mahan is coming. Actually, he is coming because he got drafted, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah, I think he did, yeah.
Maybe it'll finally happen. But yes, there's zero continuity in WWE. It would just be like, it's like if you're watching Game of Thrones and they made this 7-episode story arc about how they all need to go to the castle, and then they're just like, no, we decided not to. We decided we don't care anymore about the castle.
Oh God, yeah.
We're just not going. So I got mostly through this draft here. So I'm looking at and what you mentioned was interesting as well about how nobody got broken up. That's another good point. No groups got broken up in this draft, which is probably a first, right?
Yeah.
They didn't ruin anyone's gimmick in this draft by splitting up groups that really should never be split up like they always do in the past. So. No. And also, the first draft pick I thought was interesting. I thought we were off to the races right here with the first pick when you get to pick as many people as you want. There's no limit either. You can pick 1, you can pick 2, you can pick 7. You know.
Weird. Yep.
So the first pick was Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, and Paul Heyman. Apparently, that's the bloodline.
Yeah, I know.
And then it's like they'll pick half of a faction. You know, and then the other half later, apparently, because the Usos are also on SmackDown.
Yeah, which I thought maybe they would get split up just to maybe keep the distance between the not champion Usos anymore, and maybe that tension builds. But no, they're just on the same brand again.
So yeah,
I hate saying brand. I won't say that anymore. I don't like it.
So first pick was Roman, Solo, and Paul Heyman. I'm not going to go through pick by pick, but on night 1, which was SmackDown last week, SmackDown ended up with Reigns, Sikoa, and Heyman, Bianca Belair, the Raw Women's Champion, and the Street Profits, so they're not breaking up that marriage. Mm-hmm. Edge getting drafted here, Bobby Lashley, the OC, apparently vital first night pick, first few rounds.
Yeah.
We got to scoop up AJ Styles, Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows, and Mia Yim. Mia Yim getting drafted with the OC compared to Rhea Ripley, who got drafted by herself, not with the Judgment Day. You know?
Maybe because she's the champ. Let's just say that.
Damage Control staying together, drafted as SmackDown. Also drafted as SmackDown, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, the current NXT Women's Tag Team Champions, which as of this recording, they're still the champions.
I like when they do that. It brings a little intrigue to what's going on in NXT.
Hit Row, another faction also staying together. Top Dollar, Ashanti the Adonis, and B-Fab staying on SmackDown. And Lacey Evans drafted. And then on night 1, Raw drafted Cody Rhodes, Becky Lynch, all of Imperium, Gunther, Ludwig Kaiser, and Giovanni Vinci. Matt Riddle, Drew McIntyre, drafted to Raw. Expect him there every Monday, folks.
That's right.
The Miz, I just put The Miz WTF in my list.
I love it.
Here was a good pick. Shinsuke Nakamura. I
like that one.
This is exactly to me what these drafts should be for. It's like, hey, did you forget about that guy? Let's see if we can use this to just kind of put the focus back on him, even only for a minute.
I agree. Yep.
Because all of a sudden he was coming out and they were just talking him up as if he's like this legendary international, star. It's like last year at WrestleMania, he was in the Arnold Palmer Ice-T match with Rick Boogs, okay? Or the Mike's Hard Lemonade match, whatever.
Yeah.
So, but yes, Shinsuke, I'm glad he's finally being recognized as the legend that he is.
Yeah.
Indy Hartwell, the NXT Women's Champion.
Wild.
So she did forfeit the title since then, I believe. But not Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. Also drafted to Raw Night 1, Apollo Crews, Candice LeRae, drafted before Johnny Gargano in this draft.
Yes.
Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville. I'm trying to think if there were any other female tag teams, women's tag teams. Oh, yes, Liv Morgan. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
So Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville officially a tag team. They're officially a group here. They're not just going to end up on the same show. They're getting drafted together. Dexter Lumis, J.D. McDonough, a.k.a. Jordan Devlin, drafted to Raw.
Very good, yeah.
Natalia, the Viking Raiders, which again, I don't know, does this include Valhalla?
It does, yes.
So there we go. Good. This is good. Zoe Stark coming up to Raw.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, we've got time to draft the maximum male models, Masay Mansour and Maxine Dupree.
Well, they got that. That's because the Alpha Academy also gets drafted to Raw later. And that's good because I need a little fun. So I'm happy.
So this is where my notes start to deteriorate because on night 2, we've got... There's some free agents in the mix as well. We've got Von Wagner apparently is negotiating himself to be a free agent. Is it Omos as a free agent as well?
Yep.
And do you know who else?
I got a list, yeah. 1 second.
Well, there's also the big name that's a free agent, the Beast, Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, Brock Lesnar.
Tethered to any one roster.
Omos with MVP, so they're both, I guess, free agents.
Okay.
Everyone's favorite, Dolph Ziggler, very important guy. Mustafa Ali, that's actually pretty cool. Von Wagner, like you said. Your favorite wrestler, Baron Corbin.
Free agent, Baron Corbin.
Yep. Cedric Alexander and Sheldon Benjamin together. All right. Elias and Zion Quinn.
I mean, I will say that none of that makes any sense to me. I cannot think of why they would pick any of those people. They have nothing in common with each other. To me, it makes absolutely zero sense. Good or bad.
Yeah. Just put him somewhere. Why do we care if Elias is on like a free agent? Just put him on SmackDown or something. Who cares? I don't understand that at all.
They're just thinking like, what do we do if we're in the middle of an episode of SmackDown and we realize this show sucks? We got to change everything. It's like, quick. We need Elias and Mustafa Ali to come here and spice this thing up.
Well, Dolph Ziggler's a free agent, so he can go on both shows and get beat. You know, someone has to take losses, so that's why
someone has to go flying face first into the commentary chairs.
That's yes.
Who else is going to Raw here from night 2? Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez. Oh wait, I didn't read anybody yet. So Brock Lesnar is a free agent as well as all those other names. Then on Raw, we get Rhea Ripley, the SmackDown Women's Champion, drafted to Raw.
Of course, yeah.
Seth Rollins, the Tag Team Champions, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. The Judgment Day, Finn Balor, Damian Priest, and Dominic Mysterio joining Rhea on Raw. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, the champs. The New Day, drafted to Raw. Trish Stratus getting drafted to Raw.
That was crazy to me, yeah. That means she's going to be around for a little while.
Then the team of Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler getting drafted to Raw. And I don't know anybody else. I think there was a lot more. And this is where we've come to the end of the road with my preparations.
No, you're pretty good, I think, so far, yeah.
And then so there's probably more names on that, but from SmackDown from night 2, we've got Austin Theory, the U.S. champion. So the Intercontinental champion, Gunther, went to Raw. The United States champion, Austin Theory, going to SmackDown. Charlotte drafted to SmackDown, staying on SmackDown. The Usos.
Thank goodness.
The LWO, which consists of Santos Escobar, Cruz del Toro, Joaquin Wilde, Zelina Vega, and Rey Mysterio. SmackDown bound. Which I think they were all on SmackDown, weren't they? Except Rey. Yeah. Or no, was Rey on SmackDown as well?
Yeah, he was on SmackDown too, yeah.
Asuka on SmackDown. The Brawling Brutes drafted together. I swear, if anyone was ever in a faction, you're just safe. Your whole faction.
It's crazy.
I've never seen anything like this with the WWE Draft where any hint of a faction. It's like, hey, you're just hanging out by the vending machines. Okay, we'll make sure you guys are drafted together because you're eating peanut M&Ms by the vending machine together, the three of you. But yes, the Brawling Brutes, who are just looking for a fight, you're going to find it on SmackDown. Karrion Kross to SmackDown. And LA Knight drafted to SmackDown.
Hopefully we can, like, the draft is a spot where you can, like, reset a little bit. And it's kind of like we're starting a new quote unquote season of TV. I know that's what they say. And LA Knight is the one who needs that because he just never wins, but he's always great and he's getting over. So I need him to, like, reset. Just like Nakamura on Raw. So hopefully those two can really benefit from this.
Yeah, I mean, there has been so much chaos in WWE since WrestleMania, since that botch of a main event where Cody should have won. I haven't seen anything they do make any sense.
I mean, I don't want to read all the names either, but I got all the lists here. So, I mean, important ones like Bronson Reed's going to stay on Raw. So that's cool. I like that. And Pretty Deadly's coming up from NXT to be on SmackDown.
Oh, yes, Pretty Deadly. Yep.
Cameron Grimes, who hasn't even been on NXT in a long time, is going to be on SmackDown. You know, you got your other one. Like I said, Alpha Academy's on Raw. Oh, man. Yeah, like I said, I don't want to read all these, but, like, yeah, there's Johnny Gargano's going to Raw. Obviously, that's where Candice LeRae is.
The Way, essentially, is on Raw, minus Austin Theory.
Emma, Madcap Moss, your favorite, going to Raw. And there's Indus, sure. Jinder Mahal, Veer Mahan, and Sangha. And your favorite wrestler of all time, Grayson Waller, is going to be on SmackDown too. So
good for him. Good for him. I'm glad. There are some picks in here that were just, if you look at this draft as if it was somehow supposed to be done making sense, there's some funny picks in here. Like I said, The Miz, Trish Stratus getting drafted.
Yeah.
Natalya saying in an interview that she could go back and forth, even though she's been drafted to Raw.
Well, she's always been great on interviews, so
yeah, it is interesting because normally we do complain when groups and factions and tag teams get broken up in the draft. I mean, I'm pretty sure they even broke up the Dudley Boys in, like, the first draft.
Yes.
Right?
That was Reverend Devon, yeah.
Yes, that's how we got Reverend Devon. Stuff like this. It's like, but in this case, it's also really weird that they broke up no groups whatsoever. They actually just put other groups that were kind of all over the place just back together pretty much. Yeah. And it's interesting. And then, like, think about it like this. The last time they had a draft, I believe it was last year, they drafted Gable Steveson to Raw. This year, no Gable Steveson in the draft. And I don't think I ever saw him on Raw.
Yeah, that's a good point. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Maybe he's just still drafted to Raw.
Yeah, it just stands, yeah.
Because he never showed up to work.
It's like, I mean, in the NBA, if you draft a player in Europe and you have his rights for like 3 years, so that's what we'll say.
That must be what it is. No, obviously the real deal with Gable Steveson is that he wants to continue to compete in amateur wrestling, and he's like one of the greatest amateur wrestlers of all time. So he's not letting some rope running at the Performance Center stop him from achieving greatness.
Rope running at the Performance Center.
But yes, he wants to. I think he's doing something right now, some type of tournament right now, even, and he wants to go back into the Olympics. You know, that's not what you want to hear if you're the game Triple H and you're like trying to get Gable Steveson, you know, in line for a nice television run. Although if he does succeed in the Olympics again, and he's still interested in doing this, that would be a good time he'd be fresh in everybody's mind again if he just gets another gold medal. Not that it's, easy or anything to get an Olympic gold medal. I mean, especially if you got a broken freaking neck. It's not easy. But some people can do it.
Some people can do it, yeah.
So we'll see where all this stuff goes with the new rosters in WWE now. Like I said, it's all just chaos and flux, and they're moving offices. They're going to save $100 million. They're going to save $100 million. Not by clipping coupons, folks. WWE is probably going to be doing some massive cuts once this merger gets more solidified, whether it's just all the employees or all the wrestlers. But one way or another, there's going to be some releases coming up, I think. They might even release people they just drafted. After Backlash, which we're recording this basically the day before Backlash, so Backlash is essentially today, hopefully when we're releasing this show, so you'll most likely be listening to this after Backlash. So we'll see how Bad Bunny does. He didn't get drafted. I can't believe it. No one picked Bad Bunny.
Well, they had to pick The Miz.
And he wasn't even chosen as a free agent. Is he just such a free agent that he can just literally go wherever he wants?
I think that's got to be it.
So, but yes, we'll see. I'm excited for Bad Bunny at Backlash, but basically the new rosters take effect after Backlash. So some of the matches will shake out, but I'm curious what they do with these women's titles. It would be really sad if they just do the old, here, you hold this belt, I'll hold the other belt now. Let's just destroy all the lineage of these titles while we're at it.
I think they're going to do that, yeah, sorry.
Not that any of this stuff matters, but it was just a weird, not exactly a logical draft, in my opinion. But I watched it. I watched both episodes of Raw and Smackdown, so there you go. You got me, folks.
Mark.
Let's talk about this new world title. What do you think?
I think it looks great.
So yeah, Triple H came out on Raw a few weeks ago and announced that we're going to have a new world championship in WWE. And in the process, the way that they unveiled this title, I thought was kind of interesting. Triple H said that Roman Reigns negotiated himself into a part-time schedule, and he's not around. So we need a champion on Raw, basically. And then he unveiled this new title, which is kind of a modern take on the big gold belt with a silver WWE logo in it. And just as far as the belt design goes first, I'll say that this is not the worst belt I've ever seen.
Absolutely, yeah.
And if you do want to find out about the worst belt I've ever seen, you can support us on Patreon, because we are going to have some bonus content. The post-show, the Patreon post-show for this episode is going to be a discussion where we talk about best and worst championship belt designs. So we're going to think back to all the belt designs we've ever seen, and we're going to come up with a best and worst. So this new title is not a best or worst, in my opinion. I saw a lot of people crapping on it online, just saying it destroyed kind of the big gold belt. They ruined it, but I like this title better than the WWE title or the Universal title, because while they still have to stick their giant logo right in the middle of it, they didn't do as bad of a design job with this one with their giant logo in the middle of it as they did with the other ones.
Yeah, there's still some gold on it. It still looks like a belt instead of just a logo.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the gold and silver together on the belt like that.
Yeah.
It's where, if it's going to have 3 or 4 different colors of like platinum and gold and silver and all this stuff, that's one thing. Like blue and black and all that stuff. But when it's all gold and then you put just silver, it just looks like you taped on some sparkly like poster board or something to it.
I get you, yeah.
But yeah, so the game unveiling the new championship, and Fightful actually reported on Fightful Select, I believe, that, and I think it's okay at this point, everybody's already talked about it, that the original plans were never to unify the championship with Roman at WrestleMania last year, and the whole plan came about when Roman got COVID and couldn't wrestle at the the day one show. Remember when Roman got COVID and then Brock Lesnar was added to the match at like 7:30 p.m. that night, and then it was like a 7-minute match, and Lesnar won the WWE title.
Yes.
And then they ended up unifying that at WrestleMania. That was never really the plan. So it seems like they just got themselves into a spot and had really no way out. And the report also was saying that there was plans for either Cody or Seth Rollins or Drew McIntyre or somebody to wrestle for the WWE title, which is still unified with the Universal title right now with Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
And they just could never come up with a way to either make Roman give up one of the titles or strip him of one, or God forbid he should lose. And I think the real reason is because I think they do want Roman to have this new record-breaking title reign, which means I do think Roman could still be the champion, as of a year and a half from now, Like, I think that could be what they're doing. So, and then you have to also consider that they have the Universal title, which was the original title that Roman has had. That's the one that I believe he won from The Fiend, if I'm not mistaken. Right?
I think so, yeah.
So then he unified that with the WWE title only just over a year ago. So if you start separating these titles and only give him one, well, then you kind of can't. He's only been the WWE champion for a little over a year, let's say. But when you combine it with his Universal title reign, then it's like almost 4 years. So then you can kind of say he's been the WWE champion for 4 years. You know what I mean? How, like, if you take one away, then you lose whatever time period that he held the belt for. So it's a sticky situation for sure.
I mean, honestly, I think the only people who care are them there. I don't think any fan gives a shit about that.
Yeah.
Like, who has the longest reign ever? Who cares?
It's also pretty selective, the things that they care about in that way. Like, we're talking about continuity and everything. When, like I said, they're going to just switch the belts on the women's titles. They're just going to go, here you go, you take this one, I'll take the blue one. Like those title reigns, what happens to those? Do they just end and a new one starts, or does it all kind of count as the same one? It's like they don't care when they don't care.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So the only thing I know for sure is that Charlotte needs a few more title reigns. So
that's true. Good point.
No, so yeah, so that's my first prediction, is that those other two belts, while they may eventually move them into one sort of actual championship title, I don't think they're going anywhere as far as away from Roman Reigns. And yeah, we'll see. Does that make this title a secondary title, or can this new title be considered a world championship right away? What do you think?
Oh man, I mean, it can be considered a world title right away, but it's gonna look strange when Roman has two belts, and then this guy has this like fake championship that they just designed out of the blue.
Burying it. Oh, there you go. You just buried it. You called it the fake championship. That's like Brock Lesnar did that once. I don't remember. It was in the UFC. I don't remember if it was Shane Carwin. It was one of the times where Brock, he was champion, and I don't remember if he got stripped at the time that he had diverticulitis. But they were having all these interim champions, and Brock comes in and he goes, "You're holding the wrong belt. I got the real one at home," or something like that.
Nice.
He's like, "You're holding the wrong belt," and it just turned that thing into trash.
I mean, it'll be fine because it really depends on who wins it and who defends it, and the matches they have and how important they make it seem. That's really the most important thing.
Well, I think the most important thing is who wants to work Tuesdays, Mondays.
I mean, that's exactly what I thought of too when he just brings that belt out like that.
Yeah, so if we remember, the World Championship was given to Triple H. The first ever WWE World Championship was given to Triple H. Was given to him basically by Eric Bischoff, right?
Yep.
In 2000 and whatever, 1, 2.
Yeah, just
brand
so
split.
So he could be the champion. He didn't want the Intercontinental title. He wanted that big gold belt.
Didn't want to work Tuesdays.
Yeah, and he didn't want to work Tuesdays.
Yeah, he wanted to be like Harley Race and Ric Flair, exactly. But yeah, so Triple H was the first world champion, and he was just appointed champion. He was just awarded the title, and that belt was fine. It had a decent lineage up until the very many times that it got. First, basically, it was Randy Orton that ended up unifying the world title with. Because now we're talking about after. So first there was the WCW title and the WWE title. Those got unified into the the first ever undisputed championship, which, as we all know, was won by Chris Jericho. Then when that belt which we're getting into the belt stuff, but when that undisputed title became its own belt, then Brock Lesnar took that belt and went to SmackDown and said he wasn't going back to Raw with the world championship anymore, with the undisputed championship. So that's when Triple H became the world champion, but he didn't have to win. There was no championship tournament. It was just, it was the most Triple H thing ever. Here, you're the champion.
Yeah. I mean, that's way worse than this. Then at least this is a tournament and people are going to fight for the title. That's way better.
Yeah. So then those two titles ended up getting unified. I believe it was Randy Orton. That was the first ever. Wasn't that when they were like doing a fan vote to determine the name of the new title? Like, should it be called the Undisputed Universal title? Should it be called the Undisputed Heavyweight title? Whatever, So,
yeah.
And we're back. We are all just living on borrowed time, my friends.
That's right.
So yes, we are back. But yeah, so the Universal title was the next championship that was kind of just created after. I don't even remember why the Universal title was created, but I believe was the first ever Universal champion Kevin Owens.
Yes, he was.
It was also just given to him by Triple H.
No, the first champion was Finn Balor, but he hurt his shoulder.
Oh, right, yes, because he actually did. He actually did earn the championship against Seth Rollins, right, at SummerSlam, I believe.
That's right, yep.
And then, yes, Finn had to relinquish the title. So then we ended up with, I believe, Kevin Owens as the next champion.
Yeah, that was on Raw, I remember. And then that's when Triple H, anointed him. I remember, and he did the pedigree. I remember exactly, yeah.
Yes. So then we get to COVID day one, right, where the Universal Champion is Roman Reigns. He's gone through the pandemic. He's gone through the Thunderdome. He's beaten the Fiend. And then Brock Lesnar is now the WWE Champion. They merged the titles last year at WrestleMania 38. And here we are. Now we now have a new world championship. And Triple H did announce that there will be basically a tournament that will culminate at Night of Champions. So we're going to have 2 triple threat matches this week on Raw. And then there will be the winners of those triple threats will face off. And then you have your kind of number one contender from Raw. And then also this week on SmackDown, there will be 2 triple threat matches on SmackDown. And then the winner of those will face off. And then you'll have your number one contender from SmackDown. And I feel like Excalibur right now trying to read all the matches that are coming up on Rampage.
That's right.
Excalibur did one the other week that was like, I thought he was going to pass out. He was doing this read of all the matches. He's like, and then on Rampage, we're gonna hear from this guy. Yeah. And then coming up next, I was like, whew, this guy needs an award. He deserves a Slammy award.
And he has that mask on too.
Yeah. So all that is to say, the new World Championship, I think, can be a totally fine World Championship, especially if Roman Reigns is nowhere to be found.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
that's true.
If Roman, it's already getting tired, the champion's not here, right?
Yeah.
When we're talking, the bloodline is in your city. Whenever you hear the bloodline is in your city, you know what that means? Roman Reigns is not in your city. You know? It's like he's never anywhere, which is fine for him. Like Triple H said, he negotiated. Which we didn't even talk about that. They kind of threw Roman under the bus there. With the origin story of this title. He's now tethered to the origin of this title.
I kind of like it.
This title came about because it's not that Roman Reigns didn't want to work Tuesdays. It's that he just didn't want to work any days.
Yeah, he
doesn't even want to work pay-per-view days. Because he's not going to be at Backlash.
Oh, he can't travel that far. No.
It's not that far.
I know it's not, but that's too far for him.
And then I don't know what the plan is for Money in the Bank, if he's going to be at Money in the Bank or not. If he's scheduled, because that one's in London, isn't it? Money in the Bank overseas this year? Isn't that what they're doing?
Yeah, I think it is.
What, he won't travel overseas? So then we'll see you at SummerSlam, Roman. Roman versus Cena at SummerSlam. We'll see you.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, but anyways, back to the new World Championship. Yes, I think... I actually don't think Cody should be the one to win it, even though it's almost like there are ups and downs about putting this belt on Cody. The downside, I mean, it already happened. He lost at WrestleMania. They already blew the end of the story because they set up a story where Cody was going to finish the story, and then he did not do that. So if he's ever going to be the WWE champion, then this can't be that, right? He would have to wait a year and a half to beat Roman. Yeah. Maybe that was the pitch. Remember how we were talking about the pitch they gave to Cody?
Yeah.
To come back? Maybe it was, you'll be the champion in 2027.
And then he thought to himself, hey, at least I'll be under contract till then.
Right? Finish the story.
Well, dude, I think it might be, it's probably going to be lame if he's the champion, because it's like, that makes it seem like a secondary title because he lost the big match.
But he's also their top guy, kind of.
Unless if he wins the title, and starts defending it, and he like wins all his matches too, and then but what does that lead to? I feel like he still needs to beat Roman Reigns eventually. Are we gonna have Cody and Roman next year too, and then Cody beats Roman, and then he has 3 belts? Like, I don't get that. Doesn't work either. So I don't know.
The triad of titles.
Then the Young Bucks come out and he gives them 2 titles.
Kenny Omega.
That'd be crazy, but no, that's not gonna happen. But who knows? I mean, Cody could probably do it though. I mean, he could talk enough and be fiery enough and rah and like defend it enough that might be able to work.
Oh yeah, he could drum up some interest in this new title about what he's gonna do as champion, you know.
But he's not gonna be on both shows, right? He's just on Raw.
Yes, and this belt is gonna be on Raw as well.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I'm sorry, sir. This championship's gonna be on Raw.
Excuse me. I just sneezed.
Yes, boss. So if I was booking this new title, I'm with the triple threats. It's like, do what you're gonna do. I hope you have a good plan. I hope it's entertaining. Maybe get some people over in these triple threats. Maybe get some people over in these matches. Maybe Montez Ford should be involved. But I would put the belt on Seth Rollins. That's what I would do.
I think that's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just as the first champion, he's obviously the most deserving. He's the best wrestler they've got. And he's been kind of overlooked for a while, I believe. And this is a way to, maybe change that. Although the way that they talked up Shinsuke Nakamura, he might be maybe in line in one of these matches as well, at least as a contender for the new title.
Well, that he should be, and that should be how they do it. Like they talked him up well, put him in the match, make him seem like a big deal, even if he doesn't win or advance. When the people are in these matches, that's a good start.
Yeah, like I said, as long as they can actually get over, you don't want to just constantly bury somebody.
Yeah, well,
unless they're Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah, he'll just take bumps and cash his checks.
Maybe
it's like the job squad.
Yeah, maybe that's part of this. Maybe he's going to be the free agent that wins the belt. Who knows?
Could be, right?
But yeah, so the finals are going down at Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia. Be curious to see which titles we see at Night of Champions defended.
Oh yeah,
and which ones we don't see.
You think it's Night of Champions? It'd be everything, but yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think you're getting those tag team champions.
Roman might be there. He's probably getting like $10 million.
Oh yeah, no, Roman will be there for sure at Night of Champions. Come on, those are the money shows.
Yeah, good point.
But yeah, no, I don't think you'll see the those tag team titles at Night of Champions.
No, yeah, that's true. They definitely won't be there.
So so we are very interested to see what they do with this new title. Not so interested in the Night of Champions event, but we'll be paying attention on Raw when there's a new world champion. Maybe it'll be Finn Balor. Maybe this is how they right that ship. So let's move on and let's talk about some AEW Dynamite. We are on the road to Double or Nothing. AEW Double or Nothing going down in Las Vegas this month at the T-Mobile Arena. So it's a big show. They definitely want to have a big main event here. And the main event that they are going with for Double or Nothing, as we learned this week on Dynamite, is going to be a 4 pillars 4-way for the AEW Championship. MJF defending against Darby Allin, Jungle Boy Jack Perry, and Sammy Guevara. And I want to talk about just kind of this whole build to this match so far because it's gotten a lot of mixed reviews, and I am someone who kind of has liked it so far, and I'll explain why. What do you think overall of just the 4 pillars storyline so far?
I don't mind it at all. I think you either before the show or in the beginning of the show you said you're talking about how Sammy and not Darby and Jack Perry are not having the greatest promos. But other than that, I think it's fine. Whatever. I'm all about the results of what's going on. So if this leads to the 4 pillars match, I'm good with it.
Yeah, the way I look at this is I like everyone involved. They are called the 4 pillars. So they obviously have this sort of this like expectation that they're going to be involved in AEW's progress for a long time. Obviously, we never know what's going to happen. They might sign somewhere else or something like that. But these guys are sort of they're supposed to be the foundation, the future of AEW, right? So at a certain point, I have seen the criticism that they all could be coming off of bigger wins and they all could have had more momentum coming into that moment where they all kind of meet up. Like maybe Jungle Boy, he doesn't just beat Christian a few months ago. Maybe he beats like somebody serious, like no offense to Christian, but maybe Jungle Boy is like, oh my God, he just pinned Kenny Omega. And then now he comes into the 4. And then Darby, maybe it's like he comes in and he just beat Malachi Black in this big moment or something. And then Sammy, maybe he just was able to finally break away from Jericho or something. Maybe he beats Jericho. And then now you have these guys that are all elevated. But I don't think that's required because this is still kind of the beginning of the story from where I'm looking at it, where these guys, whatever the future is going to be, to me, this looks like the beginning of a very long feud between all of these guys, right? They're all going to be kind of connected or at least they're setting it up that way, right? So it has to start somewhere. That's the way I look at it. These guys have to be interacting. There has to be a beginning of the story, right? So while the promos have been a little bit weak, especially when they're all together, this hasn't been this like A plus like CM Punk and Eddie Kingston or CM Punk and MJF, like, promo of the year type stuff for sure. But I think it's laying the groundwork, it's building the foundation. For one, it's giving these guys a chance to kind of stand on their own legs and then fall and then get up or succeed. And what you're getting is you're getting these little bits of information that are building the story. So even though it seemed like they had that whiny promo where they were all just complaining and it kind of fell flat, you got the little insight into, okay, well, Darby thinks that Jungle Boy got signed just because of who he was friends with. And then Sammy thinks that the other guys are getting chances that he deserves. And then you start to learn that they all have this chip on their shoulder and they're all looking at the other ones as their competition, right? And everybody thinks everybody else is getting something that they themselves are not, right? And then you have MJF, who he's the champion, right? They all kind of started off as these big prospects in the wrestling business when AEW started, and now one of them is at the top of the wrestling business, and the other 3 have to kind of catch up to that, right? And they all have their own. They all went on their own path so far. And then now they're kind of back together. And then I think after this, what will happen is they'll all kind of go their separate ways again and then come back together. Maybe next time, almost like with the Shield, maybe next time another one of them is the world champion. And MJF is the one kind of clawing his way back to the top or something like that. But I think that what we've seen so far has been decent and just kind of necessary. They don't really do this kind of work with a lot of wrestlers. And that's why I think a lot of wrestlers don't end up getting over is because they base everything off of, is the crowd cheering them this week? Okay, yay, okay, great. But then they don't ever invest that time into giving you a character's backstory and their origin and their perspective and their philosophy and the reason for why they do the things they do. And you're getting a little bit of that with the Four Pillars story, I think, so far. So I think it's totally fine what they've been doing with these guys.
Good point. And where I do like the thought of having momentum going into this, like you said, if they had more like impressive wins. But you make a good point. They're laying groundwork. They're laying foundation. I think it's important that it's a 4-way match. So there's like everyone has a built-in excuse that like maybe like who takes the pin? Maybe Jungle Boy takes the pin. And then Darby and Sammy can say they never really lost or whatever. And that always leads them back together. That's good.
Well,
That's where I'm at.
to me, it's just you also have to divest from the same guys over and over again, right? Like,
Correct.
what are
Yeah.
you going to do for every AEW main event? Is it just going to be Moxley, Hangman, and Omega in every main event, some combination? You know, you have to let some new guys have a shot, right? And how they got here was you had them all coming out and complaining about how they each wanted a title match, and then they ended up having a tournament where Darby Allin gets a bye just because he's Darby and he deserves it. And Jungle Boy, Jack Perry, has to wrestle Sammy Guevara, and then the winner took on Darby Allin, right? So then that happened. Then we got Sammy, they screwed over Jungle Boy with the help of MJF, Sammy and Darby, and then now they screwed over Darby as well. So Sammy and MJF hatched a plan together to get Sammy into that main event, and then he's just going to lay down or whatever to be determined as far as how that would go. But then we end up getting where we got a tag team match this past week on Dynamite where you had Jungle Boy Jack Perry and Skull Boy Darby Allin against Sammy Guevara and MJF, who just as an overnight tag team, these guys I thought were actually pretty good because it's like they're coming out where they're each wearing each other's gear. So Sammy is wearing the Burberry scarf, and then MJF is wearing like the Sammy Guevara vest. And you know they're both bad guys, so you know they're like that bad guy tag team where it's just a matter of time before this thing stops existing, but they're kind of using each other in the moment. So, and it was actually a really good match. MJF countered a code red from Darby in this match that was really good. And then I think the MVP of this Four Pillars saga so far is Darby Allin, because he's come through as the kind of shining star in the promos. Like I said, how they all went their separate ways and then kind of got back together. Well, it's like Darby's the one who seems to have the most insight coming back together, right?
Yeah.
Even though MJF's the champion, Darby's the one kind of schooling him about how you're still the same person you always were, right? And then Jungle Boy, Sammy Guevara, not bad promos, but not MJF level. And Darby has just been making these like very thoughtful and valid points about like how Max needs to go to therapy, and you know you're never going to be happy, and it's like he's just coming through with all of this knowledge, and then when he just looks the most polished out of all these guys, Darby at this point, obviously with MJF as well, but what you have is in the match. Before the match, Darby says something to Jungle Boy like, I got this tonight. And then in the match, after Sammy and MJF slap each other and completely turn on each other, and it's just Sammy in the match. He slapped MJF out of the match. Then Jungle Boy pins Sammy, but Darby snuck a tag into the match. So then Darby hits the coffin drop on Sammy, pins Sammy Guevara, and he's just looking at Jungle Boy while he gets the pin. That I thought was awesome. This was something that they could have done on like the Wednesday before the match. Although now obviously they have a little more time to talk about the actual match, and it's not a mystery what the match is going to be. But I like it because now what you have is Jungle Boy and Darby, they're the good guys, but Darby's letting you know he's not working with you, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then now MJF is realizing, well, wait a sec. Darby just pinned Sammy. That could happen at the pay-per-view, and then I lose my title. You know? That's like how it's coming off to me.
You really get some. I like it. Making some good points here.
So I think it's going to be a great match, and I don't know what they're going to do. especially with, like we've been talking about on this episode, the fact that they have Forbidden Door and All In and All Out coming up. I don't know what the goal with that AEW championship is, right? Like, I don't know where they want it to be positioned at the Wembley Stadium show and then the following week at All Out, because you're getting presumably a return to AEW of CM Punk. So is he going to be in the title picture when he comes back? Is he going to be kind of doing the Legends tour for a little while first, where he has a couple big matches and then makes his way over to the championship when he finally feels like it? We're not sure about that yet. So the question is do you take the belt off of MJF now, or do you just keep it on him?
I think it stays on him. Yeah.
I just like my guys to win things. So I think you should put the belt on Darby Allin at Double or Nothing. That's what I think.
I mean, I see where you're coming from, because this is the time where you could give Darby a run, because MJF could bounce back easily and win the title at any time and still be super over, super great, right? Now, maybe now's the time for Darby to get a run with it, see how it is, because Forbidden Door, like you said, All Out, All In, those are huge, important shows that don't necessarily need to be built around the world. Obviously, the world champion will be on there, but they don't have to be built around who the world champion is and who they're facing, because the shows themselves are big enough. So I don't know. I could see your point there of giving Darby a few month run.
But I also think with those shows, I think that one of the big main events is going to be the AEW title. But it's just like if they put the AEW title in the main event of All In London, well, then you know that the following week, that's where you're not focused on the AEW title anymore, because you can't build up 2 title matches a week apart.
Oh, true. Yeah. Yep.
So, or you don't put the focal point on the championship in London, and then you say, watch all these guys wrestle, and then next week, that's when the big title match is. You know, like I think the title is going to fit in here somewhere. It's just not going to be the main event of every show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of what is your plan? Is your plan, like I said earlier, Kenny Omega, is he going to be the champion? Before we started recording, I was saying, is Kenny Omega going to be the champion going into All In? Or is it going to be CM Punk? Do you still want to do MJF? I really don't know what they want to do for this whole summer worth of shows they have. So it's hard for me to kind of book out in my shadow booking what to do with the AEW title. Because Tony Khan won't show me the book that he has with all the calendar dates on it and what he's got planned.
One day I'll get in there. But yeah, I know what you mean. Like, yeah, it is interesting. It's important. And there's really no clue, because you make a good point. I mean...
So that being said, with all the chaos, I say put the belt on Darby Allin. Let's just figure it out after that.
It'll be interesting to see. It's an interesting twist to what could happen in the match.
No, I think what will happen is that they will get the marks, like myself, excited for a potential Darby Allin victory, and then they won't give it to us. And then they'll say, why don't you just hate MJF some more? We'll go, okay.
True.
So what else is going on Dynamite? So we also got a great promo from the Blackpool Combat Club, where Bryan Danielson, who has just been... Bryan Danielson is just so amazing, because when they were beating on the Elite in the ring the other week when Takeshita came out, Bryan's coming out, he's like lecturing everyone in this way, and he's like the smallest guy in the group, but he's lecturing everyone still, and it's just great. He's back to that condescending heel, almost like when he was the Planet's champion.
Yeah, and he's great at that. He really is.
Yeah, it's like this is what we've needed from Bryan Danielson in AEW is this condescending, like always lecturing us about something. So he comes out. Well, he didn't come out. They had a promo in the back where Danielson said that these guys are trying to be the best wrestlers in the world, and that there was a legend who says that he is the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. And basically, Danielson said that he is better than that legend ever was. So we got to stop the presses here for a second, because Bryan Danielson just said he was better than Bret the Hitman Hart. So I think we need to answer that question first before we go any farther. Is Bryan Danielson better than Bret the Hitman Hart was?
Man, is that... I mean, it's hard because Danielson can do more, You know, like wrestling has evolved since Danielson started wrestling and getting into his peak. So he feel like he does more. But I mean, I don't know. Brett was amazing at the craft, the technicality of it, and getting other people over in the matches. It's hard.
He was amazing at everything. Bret Hart was amazing at everything.
I love Bret. I don't know if I can do it.
But so Bret the Hitman Hart was my first ever favorite wrestler. One of my all-time, if I had to pick 3 all-time favorite wrestlers and best of all time, Bret Hart would be in there. My 3 favorite wrestlers of all time are probably Bret Hart, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and I'll just leave the third one open in case I'm forgetting someone. I don't want to say the wrong name. But he's in my top 3 for sure. Bret, Austin, and maybe it's a revolving kind of spot there for other people to come in and out of. But Bryan Danielson, yes, he is better than Bret Hart. I will say this. Yes. 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 Yes.
You're probably right, but you're probably right. He is. Bryan Danielson is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, if not the greatest wrestler of all time. And yes, he is better than Bret the Hitman Hart, unfortunately for me to say. It's funny too because they're both like, I think they're both at their best when they're being condescending heels. Like the Hart Foundation, Bret Hart in '97 is like top tier like character I've ever seen, and Danielson being condescending is also what I think he's at his best. So it's fun. It's funny that that's the thing they share in common too.
Well, I think that they're both at their best in telling stories in matches. That's what I think.
True. Yeah.
So, but yeah, Bret Hart, America, they said love it or leave it, so I left it.
Well, you gotta make it seem like he's terrible.
Came back to Canada, where I get the respect I deserve.
He's good.
So yeah, we just had to address that. Bryan Danielson said he was better than Bret the Hitman Hart. I think he's going to ruffle some feathers. I think some people are going to be lining up to take umbrage with that statement. I'm not one of them. I said what I said because I saw what I saw, and I will call it like I see it. And yes, this is how you got to do it, folks. You just got to you can't say that because Bret Hart holds a special place in our hearts.
You're right.
That someone else could not be better than him. And that was the point Bryan was trying to make in that heel promo, was that hopefully this little shit Wheeler Yuta, is what he said, will be better than Bryan is someday. But basically he was saying that they are working to make themselves the best and to make people better than them, and they're working to make people better in the future because of what they're doing now and the whole,
Yeah.
And then we got Moxley jumping in. And Moxley as like a member of a group will never not be hilarious to me because he is such a loner and a lone wolf type guy. And then he's now in the Blackpool Combat Club and he's like egging on his teammates to beat on other people. And it's like he's picking fights with the elite, like from behind the barricade. And it's like he's such a singles kind of a guy that you think of. It's like, how could this guy coexist with these people? But then yet he has that other side where he's got this camaraderie with his friends, Claudio and Bryan and Wheeler Yuta. So it's funny to watch Moxley as well. But he is also a complete psychopath, Jon Moxley. Because he was just talking about Kenny Omega. They're going to have a new level of violence in this steel cage match coming up this week on Dynamite, which I am very excited for.
Mm.
I'm glad it's a steel cage match and not a stainless steel fork match. I mean, and don't get me wrong, I like a good fork spot. I like a good pizza slicer. I like a good meat tenderizer. Anything you can find in your kitchen junk drawer, I'm fine with. I just think putting the camera, like that's where they need a Kevin Dunn to hit that button and get that camera angle off of the fork spot as it's... Yeah. I'm doing the camera switch like Kevin Dunn right now on the show. People are going to... I hate it already. Get that camera off the fork. Just a little more, less is more with the fork spots. That's all.
Sure. Yeah.
Jeez, I feel like I'm on a soapbox today.
It's all right. It's been a while.
So So we're the Blackpool Combat Club and the Elite. We're going somewhere with these guys. We're not exactly sure. Is it going to be kind of and now we have Takeshita is a member of the Elite, honorary member of the Elite. Don Callis went and recruited him to the Elite. I think it's a perfect addition to the Elite.
I love it. Yeah.
Takeshita. So I don't know if it's going to be Anarchy in the Arena.
Ooh.
Stadium Stampede. I could see them doing a Stadium Stampede in Wembley Stadium.
Oh, that'd be wild. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's people that are going to be in the stadium, so it might not work. But yeah, we're going to get some. I would imagine we're going to get some big multi-man, 8-man, maybe Blood and Guts comes back. Especially with Moxley, because maybe we'll do the cage match this week, and then maybe they do have a finish. Maybe it's not a complete non-finish, but then maybe they need more violence. The cage wasn't enough, so maybe somebody gets into the cage, sneaks in, maybe and we need to go to the warfare known as Blood and Guts for these two groups.
Yeah, and Moxley is a unhinged individual, so if he wants more violence, we'll all buy it.
And you know who's kind of also quietly unhinged is this Claudio fella. He is out here hurting people. I don't mean like hurting people like Ryback hurting people. I mean like he just looks so brutal when he's attacking people in these big melees. Like he looks like he's really like pummeling everybody when he's just so strong, and it's just like I would imagine if he actually threw a punch at someone, he could probably just completely shatter their face. Not saying he has any level of punching technique. I'm just saying he's just so strong.
He's very strong, yeah.
You can just see it in these brawls. He's a chaotic individual as a heel. And then also on Dynamite this week, we had this really interesting 8-man match. Roderick Strong is all Elite, which first of all, what do you think of Roderick Strong in AEW?
I mean, if he gets enough time to wrestle, I think he's a very good wrestler. I like watching his matches. I've never seen a really bad match with him in it, so that's good. That's a plus.
Yeah, and obviously he's teaming back up with his old pal Adam Cole.
It's cool, yep.
Who is also back wrestling. Just caught the AEW All Access show where Adam Cole was like hopping back in the ring for the first time. Yeah. It's brutal to watch. And that's why like when we get on people, when we like criticize AEW for like whatever, too many fork spots or, Jeff Hardy shouldn't be jumping off of things. It's because there is the consequences that we don't see, guys. So Adam Cole was out of action. He wasn't just sitting at home playing video games. I mean, maybe he was, but it was like he was like having these post-concussion symptoms for quite a while. And it was because he got back-to-back concussions. It wasn't that he got one concussion, and he got back-to-back concussions, which is especially bad to have happen.
Very serious.
So,
yes.
I mean, that's why we sometimes will criticize whether it's the concussion protocols, which they are getting a lot better, but just the idea in general that somebody could get back-to-back concussions like that, it's not good.
Horrible.
And we saw that on AEW All Access when he was kind of trying to get back in there and he was getting a little bit dizzy running the ropes. And ultimately, that was footage. The show was taking place in, I don't know, November at the time, and he just came back a few weeks ago. But yes, Adam Cole is back with Roderick Strong with the new tag team of Orange Cassidy and Bandito taking on the Jericho Appreciation Society. They get the win. After the win, Adam Cole sprints up the ramp and attacks Chris Jericho on commentary and just beats his ass. This was perfect. Because this to me is the logic of what people would do if they really were mad at each other. It's like, okay, I'm done with the match. Now I'm going for that guy. Because he's right there,
Yes.
None of this like standing at the ramp like, oh, you want to come down here? Like, nope. Last week, you handcuffed me. Or was it last week? You handcuffed me and you gave a kendo stick to a woman who beat up my girlfriend. So I'm going to beat you up.
Absolutely. That's exactly what would happen. It made so much sense, which just blew my mind because lots of stuff never makes sense.
So it seems like we're definitely going towards Adam Cole versus Chris Jericho, which I think is great.
Absolutely. That's like when you see Adam Cole come to AEW, I think this is one of the matches you want to see.
I mean, there's a lot of matches we still want to see with Adam Cole in AEW, but this is one of them. So Adam Cole, I would say probably double or nothing for this one, right? Adam Cole and Jericho.
I think so, yeah.
So then we also have the return, well, not really return, of Hikaru Shida, the return to just being on TV, which is like what everybody's problem is in AEW, right?
Yeah.
I haven't seen Swerve in a while either. He was just beating up Keith Lee one day with a mask on, and then he's gone. But anyway, yes, we got the return of Hikaru Shida, who was about to join up with the Outcasts and then turned on them. I actually thought when this was going on, I thought that this is a nice little turn for Shida. You know, if she does join the Outcasts, it's like kind of random, but I could see it. And then, nope, wrong. She turned on them when Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter came into the ring. She was about to spray paint Willow. Poor Willow. She was about to spray paint Willow after Willow got beat by Saraya. Then the Doctor and the Champ came in, and then they, you know, took care of the Outcasts, made them scurry away. Ruby Soho, Toni Storm, Saraya. So we will probably be getting, I mean, I don't know, they got the women's championship in this mix here, but yet it seems to be like they're building up these two sides. Maybe they'll do a women's blood and guts match. I doubt that, but maybe. Something
like that, yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, it seems like they're working towards what, a 6-woman match, an 8-woman match. They're just, it's you. So what's weird about this to me is I feel like the heels should have the title. That's what I feel like when they're at this stage, because the heels are still doing the heel things successfully. They're attacking people. They're cheating. They're getting in people's face. Yep. They're not on their back foot. They're not on the run. Obviously, on this episode of Dynamite, they were at the end. But the champions always have to keep getting, like, you know, last week, like I said, they handcuffed Adam Cole and they beat Britt Baker with a kendo stick, right? Mm-hmm. Like, the baby faces are on the losing side of this, but the baby faces have the championship. Jamie Hayter has the championship. So I just feel like it's this weird dynamic where you would think they would ultimately, like, maybe Saraya has the championship or Toni Storm, and then they would ultimately beat the bad guys and take the championship. Because it's like, what are you chasing? You're just chasing, you're already the champion. You're just kind of looking like they're outsmarting you every week, so to speak, you know?
Yeah, doesn't make you look good. Doesn't make the championship look good.
Yeah, a little weird. Let's see. Oh, yes, we also had a big battle royal, a trios battle royal on Dynamite this week. A lot of interesting trios. We had El Hijo de Vikingo as part of the Death Triangle, apparently, in this one, which that might be the best trio on paper that you could possibly write down.
I was going to say, that's pretty great, yeah.
You cannot write down 3 names that on paper is a better trio than Pentagon, I almost said Rey Mysterio, Rey Fenix, and Vikingo. Like, who?
I know.
I was like, if you're playing a video game, that like shouldn't even be allowed. It would be like the ranking score would be too high for this group. But the Battle Royal was won by the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass Billy Gunn. And I think I texted you during this Battle Royal, Billy Gunn is bigger than Powerhouse Hobbs.
I mean,
who was also he was part of the QTV crew with QT Marshall and Aaron Solo and Powerhouse Hobbs. And yes, they're just going in there, Billy Gunn and Powerhouse Hobbs. They just like face off at a certain point, and I'm like, Billy Gunn is bigger than Powerhouse Hobbs. Billy Gunn is bigger than Powerhouse Hobbs. What are we doing?
That I don't like. Yeah, that maybe they should have stayed away from each other, because I don't think you want Billy Gunn to be bigger than anyone.
Billy Gunn. I mean,
Billy Guns.
At his age, to maintain that, he's got to be eating a lot of protein, you know? I don't know what kind of condiments he's using, but he's a large person still at his advanced age.
He's been one of the best pure athletes in the world.
One of the biggest. It's just funny how Billy Gunn came from the Attitude Era, and he was not seen as bigger than everybody else at the time. You know?
Yeah, that's true.
But now he's like the Incredible Hulk compared to the AEW roster.
He's definitely from a different era.
Yeah. But yes, Daddy Ass, the Acclaimed, winning the Trios Battle Royal. They're going to get a shot at those Trios titles at some point, which now there's new rules for the Trios titles. We got this in a promo from House of Black. New rules, 20 counts on the outside if you're messing with the House of Black. There's a 20 count. There is no rope breaks.
No.
And the DQ, I guess, is optional. It's up to you whether or not disqualifications are enforced. So that's good.
Okay. Yeah.
Good to know.
I'm okay with it. That's fun. That just adds more fun.
Ricky Starks and Juice Robinson. Already talked about Willow, Saraya. We got Kenny Omega saying he's going to basically hurt John Moxley because of what he did to his friend Don Callis. Don Callis, every time I look in the mirror, Moxley, I think of you. Looking at this giant cut on my forehead, I got a possible skull fracture. Winnipeg. I had to go get an x-ray for this in Winnipeg. No, Don Callis did take a brutal shot to the head. Like, that was a serious, deep wound. I don't even think a punch would do that. He must have hit his head on something, I would guess, to get that giant gash.
Yeah, that's crazy, yeah. Maybe an elbow somehow? But probably not. I don't know. Good for him.
So, yes, AEW has so many shows lined up coming up. It's going to be a lot all summer. It's going to be the summer of possibly Punk. But it's definitely going to be the summer of me buying way too many AEW pay-per-views. That's for sure.
Yeah. Huh?
So, thanks, Tony. Thanks for adding Forbidden Door first to the schedule. And then now we're getting all in. Cool. It's great for my bank account. But yeah, I think that about does it for this episode of Watch Wrestling with Mike Wellman. Was that at my house or your house?
That like humming?
Whoa, was that like a flying saucer just flew by my neighborhood? Jeez.
Yeah, that was definitely, watch out.
That definitely does it for this episode of Watch Wrestling with Mike Wellman. Thank you for hitting that play button. Thank you for sticking with us to the end. We appreciate you as always. If you haven't already, be kind, like, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Follow us on Twitter at WWrestlingPod. You do not want to miss these tweets, folks. We have a Facebook page as well. Like I said in the beginning of the show, we see you out there, our Facebook followers. So you can find us on Facebook, Twitter at WWrestlingPod. I am at Mike Wellman88. And I got to make sure I know what these buttons do before I say, what does this button do?
Watch Wrestling with Mike Wellman.